All right, we're at 9B, consideration of rezone. Can I get a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Mayor, I ask that I get a chance to speak.
Yep, as soon as we make a motion,
Well, one second.
then we will move on. That's how we always do that. Okay, so right now I have a motion on the floor. This is according to Robert's rules. Motion by Councilwoman Darling, second by Councilwoman Dodd to rezone 178 Riverside Drive from one family residential R1 to two family residential R2. Now, if you only read that statement, I know that'll take a little bit more than 3 minutes. I'm okay with that.
I'm not intending to read the statement. I presented the statement to you already.
Then
I'd like to address the council. Thank you for having me here today. I appreciate the time to speak with you. As I stated to you earlier during an adjournment, I am not the public. I am the petitioner. And I should be afforded the opportunity to present my case to the council appropriately. Okay? Number one, I am interested only in protecting my rights as a property owner. That's it. Okay? I purchased the property at 178 Riverside Drive along with my sister in 2023. At the time of purchase, it was obvious to me and to many other people that the unit existed with two dwelling units in it. Okay? The state of Michigan defines a dwelling unit as having a kitchen, a sanitary area, and other rooms. That is the definition of a dwelling unit. And it also exists in your own ordinances. That unit, that property, met that requirement. It had two kitchens. The cabinets in those kitchens were built in place in the 1960s, prior to any zoning having taken place. When I purchased that property, it had those two kitchens in it, okay? Clear as day. It met all the requirements of a two-unit dwelling. It still does, okay? The Planning Commission, in the letter that the city manager sent to you, urged you not to approve this because it would be considered spot zoning. Well, unfortunately for the Planning Commission and for you guys, it's not spot zoning. First of all, his first point is that it's a single parcel in a larger area. Every single rezoning request for a single parcel in a larger zoning area meets those requirements. In fact, the vast majority of zoning request changes meet that characteristic, okay? In fact, your own city ordinances allow a person to ask for a rezoning. If it didn't allow you to ask for a rezoning, then it could be considered illegal. But that's not the case here. Your own forms allow you to ask for rezoning of a single parcel in a larger area, okay? Number two, he points to the master plan as saying that it doesn't support the master plan. Yet the master plan doesn't even talk about R2s in the master plan. It talks about single-family dwellings, and it talks about multifamily dwellings. And it actually distinguishes between two-family dwellings along with single-family dwellings distinguished from multifamily dwellings. So it groups single and two-family dwellings together, which is what we're seeking, an R2, two-family dwellings. Lastly, he talks about the neighborhood or the district. Well, I think everybody that's here now that actually defines the neighborhood or the district, as does the use map within the master plan. That district runs from Lincoln Avenue all the way to the end on Riverside Drive, all the way to the end of Riverside Drive and up South Street. Well, it actually has non-R1 units in it right now. In fact, 27% of the units that are in that district right now are not R1s. They're RMs. Multifamily dwelling units. So those of you that live in the condos, you're not R1s, you're RMs.
No, I don't think so. So are you telling me that the hospice house are going?
Let him finish his.
The hospice house is also a business, okay? It is not an R1. So for anybody to say that it is a solely residential neighborhood, saying that it's R1, that is not true. 27% of those units are non-R1, okay? Now, interestingly, the map, the land use map, actually puts that whole area together. If you look at the map that's on, I think, page 58 or 59 of your document, it puts it all together. It calls it a neighborhood. As does everybody in this room. They all said they were neighbors to me. Neighbors. You can't be a neighbor without being in the neighborhood, okay? That's what they are, part of a neighborhood. They're part of a district. And I will address a couple of other things. Number one, we are here seeking our rights to be returned to us as an R2, okay? The city decided to send a cease and desist letter to us, stripping us of our rights as an R2. They sent a cease and desist letter to us saying that we could not operate a vacation home rental. And we responded to that by saying, we will not operate a vacation home rental after the date that you provided to us, which was November 1st, and we did not. And I want to clear the air here. We had 15 nights of vacation home rental usage since we owned the property. 15 nights. The way you're hearing from the audience here is you would think that there was people there all the time.
There was.
We had 15 nights. I will repeat, 15 nights. Additionally, when we no longer occupied the one of the units, we did attempt to rent another of the units out long-term after November 1st. We were not in non-compliance to any requirement. We were not occupying a unit. We had long-term rental with us not there, okay? We were not occupying a unit. What we are seeking here today is for our ability to have a 2-dwelling unit. That's it. That's all we're seeking. We ask that you follow the law, actually, and provide us the opportunity to have that. That's all we're asking, is for you to follow the law and stop taking our rights away. We did nothing to cause this. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone have a comment on that?
I have several.
Okay.
I'll try to keep it limited though.
You want me to do mine or?
Oh, yeah,
or wait
go ahead,
for-
Andy, please.
Yeah, that's fine.
Um,
And then-
I kind of want to give you the history of how we got here today, okay? There was multiple complaints on nightly rentals on Riverside Drive. We do have a email message that was sent based on a phone call that came in complaining about 3 nightly rentals on Riverside. Not one, not just Mr. Horowitz's, but 3. One was 163 Riverside. That person, when approached by Officer Hartman, and was told to cease and desisted, and actually ended up, I believe, selling the property because they could no longer do nightly rental. 178 Riverside Drive, that's the one we're in question about here today, and then also 170 Riverside Drive. And that one, they cease and desist doing nightly rentals on that, okay? On 178, he was given a verbal request by Officer Hartman, and then also given a written request to cease and desist on November, and gave till November 1st to stop renting it. During a site visit, August 14th, 2024, Mr. Horowitz stated, and this is in a police report, to Officer Hartman that he reviewed the zoning ordinance and acknowledged he was aware of the zoning issue, but then said he noticed that there were no penalties in the ordinance for violations, so we went ahead with the rental. Okay. Mr. Horowitz then filed an application to rezone the property from R1 to R2 to allow for nightly rentals. The planning commission voted 5-0 not to recommend the zoning as Ms. Rogers stated earlier. You guys received a memo from me to council on that decision. He made mention in the statement provided to you that me, as in the city manager, does not argue that we legally have a two-dwelling unit. And I want to go on record, I 100% disagree with that. 100%. First of all, and somebody in the audience made mention of it, we contacted the building department. They have no permits from Mr. Horowitz making, or anybody else making that a two-family unit. It was never inspected. The windows do not meet code. From what I understand, there was some expansion of the basement. There's no ingress, egress windows, and I believe there is not enough parking spaces based on the code. The only permit was ever pulled from there was a deck permit. Okay? On the city assessor system, he's only been paying taxes on one unit. No zoning permits changing from single family to multifamily. No fire inspection done for the lower unit. We have reviewed the MLS listings for that property dating back to 2001. And the one that Mr. Horowitz purchased his property for mentioned that it had 3 bedrooms, I believe 2 baths, and the basement had a living room and no bedrooms. So obviously it was not a duplex when he purchased it, nor was it prior to any of the other advertisements for that property going back to 2000. It never showed it was 2 units. Okay? Agents that are willing to come forward if needed will vouch that they took people for tours of that house and it was not separated into 2 units. Okay? So I want to make it clear, 100%, the city and other level governments have grave concerns about the structure being used for other uses besides a single family residence. There is no definition of spot zoning. Mark made mention of that. Again, he's really not giving an accurate presentation of that fact. Matter of fact, even in the article he provided to council, one-sentence definition of spot zoning most frequently cited by the Michigan courts. It was first stated in Penning versus Owings. A zoning ordinance or amendment creating a small zone of inconsistent use with a larger zone is commonly designated as spot zoning. I gotta get one more. I got a lot more. I'm gonna try to make it quick.
Please take your time.
Take your time.
Thank you. Only have 3 minutes, man.
I know. All right. Spot zoning Michigan refers to the process where a small parcel of land is rezoned in a manner that is inconsistent with surrounding zoning or a master land use plan, often to favor a single property owner rather than serve the general welfare of the public. Michigan courts have generally disapproved of spot zoning when it appears to be arbitrary, capricious, or lacking a legitimate government interest. Laws can be established in many ways. 1, we all know you guys could vote on it. 2, court decisions set law. So these court decisions are very, very important when looking at anything with planning, whatever it may be. It can be administratively set. So there's 3 court cases that are besides the other one. Lamb versus the City of Monroe, which is Michigan. A leading case where the Supreme Court ruled against zoning a single residential lot for commercial use because it was not consistent with the surrounding neighborhood in the city's master plan. So is nightly rentals a commercial use or is a residential use? That's still up for debate, but I feel personally it's commercial. So this case set the precedent that rezoning must benefit the public at large, just not a private property. Robinson Township versus Knoll, the court clarified that zoning decisions must be reasonable and not arbitrary. Spot zoning is invalid when it's not in harmony with the surrounding land use, fails to promote the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Ed Zagman Incorporated versus Kentwood, Michigan. Provide any balancing test for determining the validity of zoning ordinances weighing public need versus private interest. It emphasized the importance of considering a municipality's comprehensive plan. Okay.
If you have a very brief,
I do.
respectful rebuttal, I'll
Well,
give
can
you
I-
a minute.
I do.
Let him finish
Sure.
real quick and then you can have.
All right. If you look at the map there, and again, my wife will testify I'm colorly challenged at times. If you look at the pink area up there, everything you see in that pink area is zoned single-family residential. Mr. Horowitz mentioned about the hospice center. It is zoned R1. It is a grandfathered use because it was there prior to the zoning. The fairgrounds is actually zoned R1, and the land across from the fairgrounds is zoned R1. The blue, light blue, whatever the blue is, that is multifamily. Interesting thing that when you look at the covenants and deed restrictions for the multifamily use there, guess what they do? They prohibit nightly rentals or anything less than 60 days. So basically equating them to a single family neighborhood. Okay?
We're a year, so I don't know where.
All right, now, questions to evaluate when considering a rezoning. Number one, is the proposed rezoning consistent with the municipality's master land use plan? Now, this one here, I may even be challenged from seeing from here. If you look at that area, see the nice little star I made with the pink going around it?
No.
That is the area in question we're talking about, okay? In the master plan, it said, page 44, if you want to write this down, goal 1, encourage the protection and enhancement of the city's established residential neighborhoods. Okay? So we got to preserve what we got. Page 46. Oh, no, sorry. Page 43. Well, I'm jumping pages here. 43, it talks about, it is imperative that the city encourages and requires investment in the neighborhoods. Code enforcement, recognize the community's greater good to protect property values, eliminate health and safety hazards. Programs that help with property maintenance and the long-term neglect of properties may lead to issues in the neighborhoods. 46, action 2.13, incentivize mixed-use, higher density residential developments such as townhomes, condos, apartments in and around the downtown and along the riverfront. Sounds good for Mr. Horowitz there, right? However, if you look on that map right there, it'll show you, north of my pink there, it'll show you an area that's shaded in on that map and has a number 1 and 2, and see it circled up in the right-hand corner? Those are the areas where the city has prioritized multifamily type housing. If you notice, the pink area is not prioritizing to put multifamily housing there. Future land use. Primary strategy of the master plan is to protect and to enhance single-family areas. Go to the future land use map. Is that what? Okay. See where I have it circled, the little long cucumber-looking thing there? That's the area in question. And if you see, you color match that, and again, I might be color challenged here. The top one is a yellowish color. It says single family, that's what it's supposed to be, that's what we plan for the future. Not multifamily, not duplexes, but yet single family. Now back to the questions that council needs to consider as we go through this. Is the proposed rezoning consistent with the municipality's master land use plan? Answer based on what I showed you, no, it's not. 2, is the rezoning compatible with the surrounding zoning and land uses? Well, I think you can see everything's pretty much single family, or if it is condos, they had the restrictions put in when they bought them to make sure it stayed single family. So really, that whole general big block is single family homes. 3, does the rezoning advance a legitimate public interest? Renting out to visitors coming to town, I don't know if that's a public interest or not. I think protecting the neighborhood based on our master plan is public interest. Would the zoning confer a special privilege to the property owner not available to others in the same district? Yes, it would. Not everybody's gonna be able to put nightly rentals in their basement or wherever it may be. Is the request based on substantial change in the character or use of the property or surrounding areas since, yes, it's mostly single family. Would the rezoning create a negative external impacts? Yes, I think we heard from the crowd that there are some negative impacts. Was the zoning supported or opposed by the planning commission? It was not recommended by the planning commission, and I bet you we got 25 letters from people in the neighborhood saying, no, they don't want it, they don't support it. Is the parcel uniquely situated in a way that justifies a zoning classification different from nearby properties? There's nothing unique to their property, it's a single family home. Would denial of the rezoning constitute a taking or substantially diminish the property value without advancing a legitimate government purpose? No. It was bought as a single family house. It was bought, I don't know how many times prior, every one of the listings by the real estate, MLS, this can't be changed, it's in the system. Not once was it ever mentioned that it was a duplex or used as a nightly rental. Have similar zoning requests in the area been treated in a consistent manner? Always been treated. They look at these questions and they make their decisions. That is all I have, Mayor.
Okay. I'll go ahead and give you a few minutes to give a respectful rebuttal.
I think it's always been respectful.
All right, I just want to make sure.
So, number one, the city manager, I suppose he's creating his own definition for a dwelling unit. There's no definition that exists in Michigan law does it state anything about bedrooms. Okay? So, it doesn't state bedrooms, it says kitchen, sanitary area, and other rooms. Period. Okay? Number 2, we are not seeking your approval for a vacation home rental. We are seeking your approval to be rezoned to R2. Period. For him to state that this is all about vacation home rentals is just confusing the subject. You do not even have the ability to petition for a zoning change for vacation home rentals. You have a zoning ordinance, or you have a city ordinance that regulates vacation home rentals. And by the way, that city ordinance has never been complied with in this city. Nobody has filed for a license, according to your own city manager, who on August 27th said nobody had ever filed for that license. But that being said, I am not here seeking you to rezone me to vacation home rentals. I'm seeking for you to rezone the property as an R2, which it is. It meets all of the requirements for a dual dwelling unit. It has 2 kitchens, completely separate kitchens. Sanitary spaces for both. You heard somebody talk about how it has sanitary spaces. It has other rooms. That is the definition for a dwelling unit, and it has 2 of them. The noise that's happening here about vacation home rentals is not relevant. I urge you to stick to the law and look at what we're talking about here. His picking and choosing within the master plan is inaccurate. He points to section 55 of the master plan. In that master plan, in the letter that he sent to you, in that section, it talks about multi-family units, RNs, and it distinguishes that from R1s and R2s. And it says R1s and R2s are the same, as opposed to RMs. So if it's an R1, and you're seeking to keep it the characteristics of an R1, the master plan itself does that. It tells you that R1s and R2s are distinctly different from RMs. And in fact, regardless if there's an additional deed restriction on the properties that are RMs, they are in fact RMs. They are in fact 191 feet away from the property in question. They are in the neighborhood of the property in question. All of these people have mentioned that they are in the neighborhood of the property in question. They are in the surrounding neighborhood. So it does meet all the criteria for not being considered spot zoning. It does meet all the criteria for having 2 dwelling units. I am seeking your help to protect our rights. The city and the city manager sent a cease and desist letter without any kind of due process. There was no investigation before that letter was sent to us. They did not, they sent the letter is dated August 13th. I never heard from the Officer Hartman until August 14th. They sent the date of the letter is August 13th. They intended to send a cease and desist. And by the way, it's very interesting in sending the cease and desist. On the August 27th city council meeting, the city manager himself says we couldn't go after them based on the ordinance. We had to go after them for other infractions. He doesn't even mention in the cease and desist letter what ordinance I violated. And then subsequently, Ms. Martin sends me an email and says, by the way, not only can you not do the vacation home rental, but you can only use one of your 2 dwelling units. So the city sought to further strip my rights away from me. Now, I understand that everybody's made an investment here, and so have I. I came to Cheboygan and made a $400,000 investment in a property. And by the way, the listing that I responded to was a for sale by owner by the estate of the Johnsons, and it very much said it had 2 units in it. And I provided that information to you in a document. So you have that as well. So for him to say that no MLS listing had it, well, that's true, because it was a for sale by owner listing that I responded to. So when I purchased the property in 2023, I provided a copy of the listing to you. It said 2 units in it. Now, pick and choose to say MLS, but that's not what happened here. It had 2 units. And quite frankly, it's almost surprising that you would argue that the kitchens weren't there, because that doesn't mean a dual dwelling unit. The kitchen that was in the lower level, in the basement, had a stove from 1965. That was only constructed in 1965.
Did it work?
Yes, it worked. Okay? It had the same exact construction of cabinets as they had upstairs. It is highly likely, it's as likely as anything else, that unit was constructed with both those kitchens at the same time. That was before any zoning ordinances were in place. It's highly likely that there were 2 units there. And furthermore, on the side of my house is 2 electrical boxes. Not 1, but 2 housing units. Not 1, 2.
Do you pay 2 bills?
No.
No.
So for the conflation of the information, to say that it's all about vacation home rentals, I find that rich, given that the city manager knows what he said in the meeting on August 13th and August 27th. He knows that in August 20th December of 2020, the city manager, Tom Eustace, said he doesn't believe that the city ordinance, the vacation home rental ordinance, is enforceable. He said that, not me. He said it to you, to the city council. That happened in December of 2020. Okay. In February 2020, he said that the planning commission was going to take up that ordinance and fix it. Okay. When I came to the city and I purchased that property, I asked people, do you have a vacation home rental ordinance? No. I looked on the website. The vacation home rental ordinance was not on your website. I looked in the section of the pre-2009 ordinances, not on the website, okay? Did not exist. And for 10, 15 years, that property existed as a vacation home rental. No doubt, they all admitted it. They all said that it did. So why would I think anything other than the fact that vacation home rentals were acceptable? That being said, that's not what we're here about. We're here because I am seeking the right to call that property or have that property zoned R2 to protect my investment and my rights as the property owner that were stripped away from me without due process. That the city manager sent a cease and desist letter without due process, no investigation. And even if he intended to investigate and he wanted to use the chapter 120 zoning ordinance, that ordinance requires that you are supposed to get written complaints and have a.
Excuse me, sorry, please, he's the petitioner, so I'm gonna let him speak.
For how long?
Until I feel that he needs to be done.
Okay, that ordinance, if he intended to use that ordinance requires in section 120.08, a written complaint to come in, and for the city to provide me that written complaint within 10 days, and for me to have an opportunity to present evidence in opposition to that complaint. That never happened. Even though I requested in writing to Ms. Martin and Mr. Sobolski, please provide me the written complaint that was provided. Please provide me any kind of
I'm the
documentation.
one that complained
Excuse me.
about it,
Ma'am.
okay?
Please, I don't want.
Okay, please provide me any kind of documentation that was provided. And what was their response to me? The response was, we took it over the phone, okay? Now he's trying to make you believe that.
Can I steer this more to the idea instead of
Well,
a
that's fine. So, I wanna make sure you understand that the city was actively working to strip me of my rights without due process. Absolutely. There is no evidence that the city ever investigated this activity. Never. And in fact, when I asked for the evidence, they could not produce it. Now, did the officer come to my house? Yes, and I actually spoke to him. And I told him exactly what was happening. At the time that he came to my house, I had a 1-month rental from a friend of mine from Florida. And I told him that. I was up front, I'm on the up and up. Unlike 20 other Airbnbs or VRBOs that are happening in this city right now, that they're not going after, they're not targeting, they're not sending cease and desist letters out. Why is that happening? Why are they trying to strip me of my rights? Okay? And not just the Airbnb. I'm not concerned about the Airbnb, but I want to have the ability to rent the unit. And I can't do it without R2 zoning. I cannot.
Correct.
I'm kind of confused because you just said you rented it to somebody for a month, and then you told us all you only rented it for 14 days.
That's right. It was not a short-term rental. It was a month. I rented it for nightly rentals for 15 nights.
You said 14, and your letter
I said 15,
18,
I said
now you're
15.
saying 15.
I said 15 nights, okay? And it was 15 nights.
I guarantee we got it on tape.
I can provide you all the receipts.
Can't even give us the right
I'm
number.
ready for us to start talking about it. 'cause
Yeah,
it
I
is-
feel like we've
Yes,
three
call it.
Mr. Mayor, I really appreciate you listening and taking the, and letting me speak and provide the information to you. And your decision is your decision.
All the questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I know you have comments.
So yes, Dan, thank you. A lot of the things I wanted to talk about we addressed already. I guess now this is even outside the law, just my own personal feelings. I've lived in Cheboygan all my life. We are a very friendly, happy community, and it seems like this is not a friendly, happy thing you're trying to do. It seems the majority of the neighborhood is not for this, and it seems like you're definitely not respecting the neighbors.
Thank you.
Which I'm sorry that you're not, but if you've got to know us, we are very friendly. But this is not probably the best thing to do. Not only because it's the right, it's the law, it seems, spot zoning. So who do I know spot zoning? I read a lot of it in the past weekend. I do feel it is a spot zoning issue. And then as for the other Airbnbs in the community, I mentioned NEMCOG earlier. We are looking at a new master plan and that will be addressed. We are looking into the many Airbnbs that are not supposed to be happening in our community. But that'll be done through zoning, and that takes time. And that's all I have.
All right. Any other comments on that?
Yeah, it's hard to come and present in front of a board. I do it as part of my day job, and I argue with superintendents, and it's stressful. And so thank you for coming and presenting your case. Thank you to the neighborhood for coming and presenting your case. I took some notes on some points that I think are worth making. As for the due process, we just saw the report from Mr. Hartman, and to get a letter stating that, you know, you can't have an Airbnb here, I think just seeing a listing suffices as evidence of there being an Airbnb. But throughout the talk, it was mentioned repeatedly that we're not here to even talk about the Airbnb. We're to talk about rezoning it to 2 units. Having 2 kitchens, I mean, a house built in the 60s, I haven't seen the listing, but of course, kitchens can be on 2 floors for a variety of reasons. It doesn't necessarily mean it's 2 units. Zoning changes are not mandatory. They are, you know, if there's somewhere else in the community that the type of thing you're requesting can go, then they can, the planning commission can deny it. The planning commission is full of experience, and it's very rare actually that they, one, deny someone something. They are more prone to approve something than they are to deny it. And so if they universally said, no way, I think we have to trust their experience in following the process and honor that. And so we have to weigh your rights, the right to petition, the right to bring the case forward with the rights of the neighborhood, with the processes planning is supposed to follow. And so what I was hoping to hear throughout all that was, did the planning commission err in their decision? And we didn't hear anything about that. And so based on all those factors, I don't think we can rezone it.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll ask for roll call then.
What was the motion?
But I had the motion on the floor, to rezone.
Okay.
So Mallory,
No.
Martin,
No.
Ormsby,
No.
Bedwin,
No.
Darling,
No.
Dodd. No.
Okay, do I have another motion?
I would like to make the
I'm not sure
motion.
if we need another motion at this point.
Mm-mm.
No? Yeah, I mean, nothing will change. Okay. I'm going to move on to, so the motion failed. I'm going to move on to 9C. We have consideration of a reappointment to James Granger to the Planning Commission.
I'd like to make the motion to reappoint Mr. James Granger to the planning commission.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Martin, second by Councilwoman Darling to reappoint James Granger to the Planning Commission, term to expire May 5th, 2028.
Mr. Granger did come in to see me and talk to me about it. He would like to stay on the planning commission, but he would like to find a successor to be the chairperson of the planning commission. He said that it's about time he's been on there for, I don't even know, a very, very long time. But he said he would like to start that process of finding somebody else to chair that particular commission.
That sounds like a good plan. Okay, any other comments on that? Okay, roll call?
You don't have to, but we can if you'd like.
Yes, go ahead.
Martin,
Yes.
Bedwin,
Yes.
Ormsby, Darling,
Yes.
Dodd. Yes. Mallory.
Yes. Okay, we have city manager's report.
Concession stand, if you go by the park now, the block walls are already, they're up and above the windows and door, so the block is done. We have got reimbursed for 48,000 of.
Sorry, I can't hear what the city manager is saying, please, if we can talk in the hallway, maybe.
We got $48,000 already reimbursed of the $100,000 grant that we got from the county to make that happen for the Little League and the other organizations over there. The roof and the trusses and also the interior framing will be started. I'm hoping this week, but if not early next week. I'm hoping that we'll get the building up and functional before some of the bigger tournaments later on in the year. Storm report, we did move the brush pile at the rec to allow better access to the construction site of the concession stand, but also for the one baseball diamond. We did catch some heat from the parents of the little leaguers and things because opening day they could not park right adjacent to the field. We did have signs that said no parking, but I think they parked right between them. So we tried moving and kind of clearing it a little bit. Then we spray painted parking spots on so that we could get people to park, because sometimes when they parked, we couldn't get emergency vehicle if we needed to get in there, just in case somebody got hurt. We are in the process of getting estimates to chip all the brush piles between Huron and Kyler, the rec center and Eastern Avenue. If you look at those, I can't even estimate what we got right now. I think that one, maybe 2 weeks ago, we measured it and I came up with 43,000 cubic yards of debris just on that one. I bet you now that one's probably up around 60,000 or more. So we do have a lot of debris. The only problem is we're waiting on the FEMA situation. FEMA requests have to be submitted to the feds by Governor Whitmer by the end of May. It was supposed to be the end of April, now it's the end of May. So then once they are submitted, then we're going to find out if the Michigan counties are eligible. And if we are eligible, I'm hoping they'll tell us quickly, but it may be a few weeks for that. And then, you know, by the time they say, okay, this is what the money the city gets, we're looking out probably June, July-ish. So I hate to say that brush is going to have to sit there for a while. I've heard various people say we need to have a community bonfire, but I think the one over by the Historic Center might burn the whole town down if we tried that one. Our crews are out still picking up brush from the storm, and it seems like as fast as we pick it up, it's back out on the street again. And now we've issued, hey, no more brush on the street. People are still trying to put it out there, so we may have a few battles we need to fight on that one. CDBG grant, there's an opportunity to apply for a CDBG grant to do more lead service lines and get all our lead lines removed in the city. We're going to ask for $500,000 from that grant. There is a match of $175,000. I got to figure out where that's going to come from right now. But like anything else, I said let's put in for it. If they come back with the money, then I guess we'll try to find it somehow. But there's no reason not to apply. And then coming up at the next council meeting, you'll have to approve a resolution in support of us applying for that grant. We're working with HRC on that one. USDA grant, there's a grant for up to probably somewhere between $500,000 to $1 million to help clear up the Black River watershed of debris. There's a 30% match in this one. The good thing is we had a meeting, the county was there, Jeff Lawson. Inverness Township was part of the discussion, Cheboygan Township, the County Road Commission, their Drain Commission, and the Soil and Water Conservation District. We're all meeting to try to figure out how we're going to take care of this. We also discussed forming a drainage district. I know Buddy will be happy to hear that. The Drain Commissioner is on board with that, to work with us to do that, because too often times when I got here, people said that the city's responsible for the dams and the watershed and the things. And then I did research, matter of fact, Buddy did a lot of the research and provided it to me, that I said, hey, wait a second, we're responsible for some of this for 50 years, and the 50 years is expired. So whose responsibility it is, we really don't know. But I think now, as a collective whole, we're all saying, we're responsible for this, all of us, all these entities I just mentioned, so we're gonna start chasing. Jeff Lawson also got the county to authorize him putting a letter to USDA asking them for help. So they'll come out and look at it, they'll study it, they'll help us put together the application. And this funding is used a lot of times when there's a big natural disaster. I think there were some big floods out in Colorado where there was rocks as big as this room that were, flushed down the river and ended up in the city. And that's the money that they use to do that. So good news, keep your fingers crossed, and we may solve a problem, buddy, that I know you've been working on for a long time. Police and fire millage public hearing will be next council meeting. There'll also be a council resolution to set that millage. Remember, we said every year we'd have a public hearing and we'd set that millage for the coming year. Master plan and rezoning meeting is May 22nd at 2:30. Just reminding everybody that we're making progress on that, we're moving that along, and that's an important step. Also, we'll be reviewing, hopefully at this next one, but if not the next meeting, the Oprah and the Brownfield that were planned, that were approved probably 3.5 years ago for Johnson Studio down here. We're hoping to get that done sooner than later because of the fact that there's a deadline by MEDC on the funding to help out with that project. Again, remember, it was requested by a number of council members that we revisit those two documents. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Okay, yeah, it's about his report, sure.
Pardon?
If it's about something he talked about, that's fine.
So I can't ask him a question about anything but what he said as a councilwoman?
Can you ask him somewhere else? I mean,
Well, the budget was supposed to be out in April,
okay,
for council to be able to go through. It's supposed to be out in May for residents to be able to see, and it still hasn't come out, and it's the middle of May. And I'd like to know when it's coming out.
We had the first budget meeting, was it last week or last council meeting where we went through the capital budget. So we already started the process in April like it does say in the charter. I have the draft done. I'm working with Raymond to straighten up some of the things that I can't calculate in terms of debt service and depreciation. I need an accountant to do that for me. And once that is done, then we'll have the draft. I'm hoping that we'll have it before the end of this month.
okay.
The full budget. We've been working on it. That's also this millage. Kind of hard to develop a budget if I don't know how much you're gonna give me to use for next year. So that's why this is at the next meeting.
Quick question, if we do not get the FEMA funds, I know you had mentioned originally that there was something else that you had the 10 days after to apply for, and it was up to $250,000.
That was very good. If we do not get the FEMA money, there is a money that's available through the state of Michigan, through the state police, actually. And that's up to $250,000 we'd be eligible to apply. As soon as we know we don't get the FEMA, then we can apply for that. So I'm hoping, but again, I'll say that it had maybe $3-4 million in that fund. So if everybody takes $250, every city, county, township, it's gone.
But it didn't have to be in that window.
No,
Okay.
no, because the governor declared a state of emergency, the counties declared a state of emergency. So then put that on hold, go to FEMA, FEMA says no, then we go over to here. They say no, then we may have to be doing a blood drive or selling blood or plasma or something, all of us to pay for that, but we'll figure that out when the time comes.
Just a comment, read in the Free Press that Charlotte, my company, is chipping their debris, and I don't know why exactly in between, but they're shipping their debris, they're chipping to a place in Gaylord. It's a biotech institution, just for mentioning.
There's a plant down there that makes particle board down there. And then I visited a place, it's on Thumb Lake Road, down by, it's right on the corner there. If you've ever been down that corner, there's a gas station on the corner, and all around that gas station, that gentleman there is the guy we've been talking to. He'll come up with a grinder It's like a semi truck, he'll park it there, and he'll just constantly feed that, stock into that. He chips into the big truck and then he takes it back down there, then he turns around and sells it for mulch. And I'm hoping that's who we can hire, because he's got his own equipment, that's all he does, he hauls it, he gets rid of it, we don't put it out here, out in our landfill, so I think that would be a great solution for us. But let me know if you can find out, that would be another one for us to investigate as a possible, location to send it.
My kind of question that went through my mind is they must not be talking to FEMA or something, because they're moving the debris.
How do I wanna say this? Charlevoix County probably has a little more financial reserves than maybe the city does, and they can afford to do that. In a way here, the county road commission went forward with a lot of stuff, but they kinda hit the same wall we did, where we're like, okay, don't wanna go any further right now because of the fact that I'm not sure how we're gonna pay for this. And if we don't get the money, we may have to figure out other solutions. So I think that's the way we are with them, and they probably just ended up hiring, probably that, I hate to say it, probably that guy, because it's probably the same guy. So they're probably hauling it to his place, and he's chipping it.
No, they said, right in the article, it said it was going to Gaylor to a biotech place,
Do me a favor, can
so
you come across the name of that firm?
they didn't have it in the article, they just said to a biotech.
Okay. You said Charlevoix County?
Yeah, Charlevoix County, so I imagine you can call the county administrator on that.
And is the gentleman you're referring to the one you were saying was in Wolverine?
Yes.
Yeah, right up.
We've got a huge facility.
Oh.
Alright, we're gonna move on to the city clerk comments. Nothing? Okay, thank you. I will open public comments now. If anyone has public comments, please stand, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you. My name is Mark Horowitz. I have a couple of questions. Hopefully those are fine in the comments.
In public comments, generally, if,
That's fine. You can either not answer them or not. I mean, it doesn't, it's just a comment.
okay,
So, as I mentioned earlier, but I'll mention again, in December of 2020, and then subsequently in February of 2021, and then subsequently in August of last year, twice during city council meetings, the council and the city managers at the respective city managers at the time mentioned they were looking to amend or change the chapter 120 of the city ordinances. So I would really appreciate if the city council would provide an update for those changes that are taking place, so that there are clear and concise ordinances, that there's an opportunity for people to license appropriately the vacation home rentals, and that everybody plays by the same rules. Because it doesn't appear that that's what's occurring at the moment. It appears that there's an uneven playing field, and as I've provided to the city council previously, there are a number of Airbnbs or vacation home rental units that exist in the city that are in R1 properties, and therefore they would not be in compliance with the ordinance, and they're still active today. And in fact, when I notified people that we were not going to have an Airbnb this year, they had said that they were confused because they're parts of a large family that has 5 Airbnbs in the city, right near me. And they're all coming, but they're so confused about how we're being treated differently. So it'd be nice for everybody to be treated the same way. That's number one. Number two, it would be very interesting for the city to comply with the Freedom of Information Act request that I've made. I know the city has requested 10 more days to comply with that, but what was said today was not consistent with what I received in email. Okay? And then lastly, the city council, Edwin, is that right? Who said that you wanted to hear things that the city, the planning commission didn't do. Well, unfortunately, we didn't talk about that, but I sent an email to the entire city council and you didn't get because you weren't on the city council, that outlined clearly that I didn't even get a chance to speak other than in public comments. Never got a chance to defend the case, never got a chance to present the evidence in that meeting. So it would be nice if everybody were treated the same across the questions. And I do appreciate you guys taking the time and listening and giving it proper consideration. Thank you.
Last comment, I probably won't take the whole 3 minutes. This has been tough, right? It's been a tough 6, 8, whatever it's been, when this all started. He says it's not vacation rentals, but yet he has a spot on the website where he's advertising vacation rentals, right? It's about rezoning. Come on, folks. We seen the crowd that was here from Riverside Drive. But the bottom line is, his neighbor directly to the left and directly to the right are saying no. And there's no respect returned, right? He wants Freedom of Information Act. I want to see the charges. I tried to talk to him about the charges. You know what he told me? I'm not gonna repeat it in here. I have to go to another meeting now because he's losing this one, so now what's he gonna do? I'm gonna see you there, I understand, Mr. Mayor. I have to go to another meeting because now he wants to grandfather again. Let's stop the BS. Let me have my retirement, let me enjoy my house, let Gene enjoy his house. It's ridiculous. Thank you. Thank you for your time, thank you for listening.
I just have to say one thing, and that was 12 years, him being grandfathered in the last time. I won't stay here in Cheboygan. We've been here 37 years, raised our kids, our family. I will leave. This is not what we signed up for at all. We signed up for a single family residence. Thank you.
There may have been a kitchen down there, but that was for convenience. The lady that owned it originally had it so that she could have entertained people down in the basement when it was hotter than heck, Hades, upstairs. That is the only reason there was 2 kitchens. It was not for a 2-unit place.
Please direct your comments
That
to
is the
council.
only reason. There was no reason for a 2-unit place. That is it. It was for her convenience and her convenience only. She was an elderly woman who did not want to go upstairs where the water side was nothing but windows and it was hotter than heck upstairs. So she could entertain down in the basement where it was cool and take everything out on the patio. That was it. No other reason for the kitchen downstairs. Not to rent it out, not to have somebody else live in there, or whatever. That was it.
Thank you. Are there any other?
Yes.
It's okay.
Louis Bounce, Eastern Avenue, City of Cheboygan. Want to say a intellectually dishonest manager's report here, because of the fact that we had a FEMA grant that the city manager is not interested in doing because he claims that the county is going to do it, and confusing FEMA for USDA. The USDA is going to be the one that's giving the county money, not FEMA. I transferred you by email or text to the council people the thing from FEMA that would take care of one of the issues I've been bringing up, which is the eastern settlement drains, which have been blocked by the storm and which we have not had any action on by the city whatsoever. That is a fact. The fact of the matter is doing a drainage district for the posh country club, golf club on the west side of town, but you're not gonna do one for the east side of town, for the eastern Sutherland drains, which I've been bringing up for decades to this body, which has been one year and out the other, because I'm not a law firm. I'm not a, a person with, big name in this town. Well, the thing is this is a pattern of behavior in this town that, if you're not connected by any fashion in this town, you're not gonna get served. This is the fact. Every person in this community deserves service, deserves to get this funding from FEMA, which I have given to the council, to get these issues taken care of. And quite frankly, goes back to the issue with what has been known as the Cheboygan Commons. Nice sign, by the way. Respect is given when respect is earned. Anyway, all I know is this. We on the east side of town are being not served by this community. We have debris that is in those drains that are damaging our properties, that are not being taken care of, and a nice little rainy ding, but anyway, all I know is this.
One last statement.
We have the right to the drainage district too. We have the right to get the funding to get this stuff done. We have the right to get the DEQ Eagle to get city services on that east side of town, because that paper mill poisoned the people on that side of town with the blessing of you.
Thank you, Louis.
Mayor,
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure I was clear. The county put in and wrote a letter to USDA, because we met with the USDA representative. Boyd, I can't remember Boyd's last name, so it was USDA that the county put a letter to. FEMA, in the request I put to FEMA, we put in $200,000 to address issues on Eastern Avenue in the eastern ditch. And obviously Lewis has not been out there in a while, because we did have a crew out there pulling some stuff out of the ditches, and Eastern, a good portion of Eastern got a fresh load of gravel, same thing with Western. So obviously he hasn't been out there to see that, and that happened probably 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, so.
Are there any other public comments?
Go ahead, dear.
Thank you. Mary Darling, citizen of Cheboygan. As a council, we are elected by the citizens to support them and things that, they feel are important to our city. Over and over, I've seen this council vote against the interest of the citizens of Cheboygan, and not for what is best for them. I take my job seriously as a councilwoman. I listen and I talk to the residents of this city. I know what they want and how they feel, but it seems like nobody else is listening to what the citizens want. The council person that was just seated was voted out of office by the citizens of Cheboygan. And now you come along and you vote him right back in. So who are you really representing? as council members, because it doesn't seem like it's the citizens of Cheboygan.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jesse Mulder. Last time I was in here, I was told that we were getting a mini excavator to clean the ditches. I wonder what happened with that, because that debacle that happened on Court Street, where you put all the curbs where there weren't curbs, now all the water, instead of putting drains in, all that water diverts right into my backyard, which would be all right if you maintained the ditches. These ditches haven't been maintained in 20-some years. There's an alley that runs behind our property that a rabbit can't get through. How would a fire truck get through there to do its job? You need to maintain this town. What's going on with that mini excavator and chipper that you were supposed to get over a year ago? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comments? Yes.
Let's go Marble 508 North Bailey Street. I just wish to commend you on your decision for the council.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Joash, and I own property on Court Street, which backs up to the cemetery on Court Street. And I have a road between me and the cemetery that I've gone down to the city council, or the city, and looked at the plans, and it's Mosby Street, although it has no sign. And, it's supposedly maintained by the city of Cheboygan. It is not. It hasn't been cleaned out in about 30 years, and my backyard floods every year. It should flow right now, and it doesn't. It's a straight ditch. Seems like an easy thing. This year after the ice storm, I talked to Gracie in the cemetery. She said the city came through with a skid steer, and they filled the rest of that ditch with debris from the ice storm, instead of taking it, chipping it, whatever they threw it in there. And this last year, the school bus has decided that their stop is now at the end of that street, which isn't snow plowed or maintained in any way. It should be an asphalt street, and all the other streets in the area are, and it's a dirt road with big divots in it from a skid steer. I'm just asking the city to maintain what's in the city, like the taxpayers pay for. And then I see this new one, we got some grant money to look at the mains that are in the street. That you guys put in there, you should know what's in there. Seems like we're spending grant money to find out what we already did. Doesn't seem very smart. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. You said Mosby Street? Yeah.
You know what? I'm not sure. It doesn't have a street name. The only time I ever seen the name of the street is on the city maps down at the county building. Because if you bring it up on your phone, it's too blurry to read the street name.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay. I will close this portion of public comments, and do we have any committee updates?
But the city maintained doesn't go this far.
DD is not met.
Okay. Any updates?
The Parks and Rec have not met.
Okay, all right. Then this meeting is adjourned.